You moved into the main bedroom while I was still folding his socks. I was still brushing lint off the shoulder of a suit no one will ever wear again, and your suitcase was already in the closet. You told everyone you were helping me clean things up. Tell me, how much did the real estate agent offer you to wipe away 45 years of my life?
You always do this. Mix feelings into simple stuff. I'm not the bad guy for seeing things the way they are. The housing market is really good right now, and you don't even own the house. He never gave you anything in writing. That's not my problem.
He gave me something better than paper. He gave me love, quiet mornings with coffee, and a garden I built with my own hands. You should be ashamed for thinking love doesn't matter if there's no paper. But don't worry, I've already packed my things.
And where are you even going? You've got nowhere else, so stop acting like you do. You've always counted on others to catch you. I just gave you a little push.
Nobody noticed when she slipped past the whiskey tray and stood quietly in the corner of the room. But her silence didn't mean she gave up. The people laughing around her didn't say her name. A photo on the fireplace still showed her husband's face, with her face barely showing in the side. The house smelled like fancy rosemary lamb and cold pride. One hand held her pearl necklace. The other was holding tight to the envelope hidden deep in her sweater. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. And Harlow never saw what was inside.
He had freckles on his shoulders from working in the peach fields, and every Thursday after dinner I'd sneak out the back door and meet him behind the old willow tree near the orchard. It wasn't anything wild, it was sweet. He brought me little sugar packets from the diner and asked me what poets I liked. Do you know how rare that was? In our house we didn't talk about feelings, just about what needed to be fixed or kept secret. But he really saw me. One time I was late and he waited in the rain for 2 hours, his fingers all wrinkled, holding a small book of poems like it was something holy. I thought I really believed that meant it was real. But my mom, she never asked where I went, not once in 6 months. She folded my clothes, mumbled about being proper, but never said a word about how I came home all lit up, dirty, or singing songs I didn't know before. She said nothing and called that parenting. She made me believe I had made him up, like loving someone meant I had to feel guilty. She didn't ask. She never even looked.
You've always loved being dramatic. You turned getting a haircut into something emotional, like a sad song. Maybe he showed up, maybe he didn't. But even if he did, that doesn't mean it was some big tragic loss. You act like mom ruined your whole life, when really, she just did what most people do. She got through the day. And you? You turned your memories into some sad story instead of living your real life. No one made you live like a ghost.
You think I'm just being sentimental? He came back, the week before my wedding, while I was putting frosting on name cards and sewing flowers into fabric. He came back to town and left a letter with his sister, said he couldn't leave without giving us a shot. You want to know why I didn't find out? Want to know why I married a man who never once cared about poetry? Because my mother got the letter first. She read it, every single word. And instead of giving it to me, she burned it in the kitchen sink along with the Sunday paper coupons. I didn't know for 30 years until his sister died and mailed me the ring he was going to use to propose. He wasn't something I dreamed up, he was wiped away. I didn't turn him down. I never had the chance. My mom took the letter, burned it, said I had a duty to someone she thought was better.
No. This is where you get it wrong. That life was yours. Your name was on it. You could have asked questions, you could have pushed back, but you didn't. You held on to the silence like it was something special. You talk about the fire like you weren't part of it too. You stayed small because it was easier. That's the part you never talk about.
I stayed small because in our house that's the only way love worked. I made myself invisible so I could be useful. But now, I'm standing here saying his name out loud, not to take him back, but to take myself back. I'm not making stuff up. I'm remembering. And the girl who sat by the window every Thursday night, she's still part of me. She never left. You call it easy, but carrying years of silence made me tough in ways you can't see. It's taken me 50 years and a letter in ashes to see the truth. I didn't live the wrong way. People just walked around me. I'm not some dusty memory, Harlow. I'm the part they tried to erase, and they didn't win.
God, you really think all this makes you brave? Like saying the name of some guy from an orchard suddenly changes your whole story. You weren't held back. You were just easy to have around. You don't get to call it strength just because someone else got the future you wanted.
No one got the future I wanted. That's exactly the point. But I'm not saying this to get your approval or so you'll feel sorry for me. I'm saying this because I'm done. I carried the shame they gave me, folded it while doing laundry, said thank you with my teeth clenched. And now, I choose to speak up. I choose the hard stuff. I won't be your sad tale you talk about at brunch to seem deep. I'll be the woman who made it through and finally decided to live loud and proud. You don't have to like it, but it's not up to you. I didn't survive for your sake. I survived even though you were there.
I didn't know there was more to you worth asking for.
I changed the sheets in your mom's dressing room during her last week. She asked for those lavender pouches, the ones she kept in the piano bench. I guess nobody else remembered them, but she did. Even when she couldn't talk anymore, her fingers still reached for them. She looked at me for a long time that last morning, like she was trying to picture people in her head. After I helped her take a sip through that fancy straw, she said something strange. She said, "Tell the stubborn one," and that was you. I know it. Tell him to stop looking back. It's right in front of him. She's got my silver ring. I told her I gave it to a nurse once, years back, but it never came back. She gave this little dry laugh. Then it got where it needed to go, she said. That was the last thing she said before she went to sleep. And you didn't come back until the wake. I stood next to you and didn't say a thing. Until now. She said your first mistake had my eyes.
I've heard better ghost stories from hospice nurses trying to sweet-talk me for a raise. Every caretaker that shows up here tries to act like there's some deep past life link, like I'm gonna fall apart over the smell of lavender and hand over my phone book. They turn shopping lists and sad memories into poems. I've heard the pattern. Yours is smooth, I'll give you that. But I've signed too many papers to fall for a pretty story pretending to be truth. So here's what I think. Keep your space. I don't like people who show up just to feel something old.
You want to talk about cold? Let's talk about it. It's been 48 years, that long since I stood by the apple trees in my Sunday dress, with a dried dandelion in my glove and bruises on my legs from dodging Mama's broom. You said noon. I came at 11, waited until the moon was crying into my wedding shoes, and every single year after that, on that same Thursday, I walked by that same exact spot, just in case, to prove I wasn't losing it, because the boy I knew promised he'd come back, even if he got locked up, or got hurt, or got married off. You carved a little flower into the bench on the north side. It's still there. Only someone who sat beside me would know that. So don't compare me to strangers or talk about perfect timing and cruel acts you've practiced. You made me wait 48 years for silence.
I never asked anyone to wait, especially not someone using an old love story like a painkiller. You built your whole meaning around smoke and hope in the wrong place. You weren't the only one at that orchard. I was there too, choking on letters I never sent. But nobody gives us trophies for sticking it out. We grow up, we leave the past, we sign our names to the life we've built. Whatever dream you're bringing back belongs in a book, not my house. You got here early. Bring me my pills.
Your body might be giving out, but that coldness, that's something you choose. You flinch every time my hand gets close to yours. That's no accident. That's your memory trying to fight through the act. I don't need you to say anything. I've already gone too many years without hearing it. But being scared doesn't break a real connection. Maybe you forgot my face. Maybe you wanted to. But don't act like showing up late makes you innocent. You're not untouched. That's what's eating at you on the inside. Regret that's got nowhere to go. And I'm not gonna sit around waiting for a man who pretends he can't remember just to feel less guilty. We remember what we want to forget, and forget what we're scared to remember.
You always liked being dramatic. You always talked in big sentences, and gave me those sad eyes. Let's not act like this is some kind of sad story. You work here. That's it. Whatever old feeling you think you woke up in, me is just sore bones. Not some big feeling. You're just the help. Don't mix up our past with your job.
If this was just about my job, I would have left the second you pushed me away. But I stayed. Not for comfort or money or praise. I stayed to see if remembering was possible without someone saying it was okay. And it is. I brought you something, a flower pressed between wax paper and string. You gave it to me when we were 15. You said it couldn't break. I kept it in a drawer, closed tight with silence. But silence doesn't protect us, it just delays what's coming. So while you hide behind acting and pride, remember this. I know who you used to be, and who you still are. I'll see you at breakfast with or without your say-so.
That field. It always smelled like lavender.
I always wondered why you didn't show up. For years I told myself it didn't matter, that maybe you changed your mind or got scared because things between us were getting serious. But the pain never really went away. Then last week, while I was going through your mom's old books to donate them, I opened that old red book of poems and a folded piece of paper fell out. A letter, wrinkled but still easy to read, with my name written in your handwriting. You said you came back. My hands were shaking so bad as I read it. I sat on the floor and read it out loud, every word, and it all came back to me. The orchard, the swing, how you always had cherries in your pocket for me. You waited, you didn't leave, not because you wanted to, and I never knew. Because she took that letter from me. She stole it. My whole life built on something that wasn't true. You wrote that if I wore white, you'd be waiting under the orchard tree, the one with the swing.
I waited until the sun started to go down. I got there around noon and stayed until evening. I kept thinking maybe you were just late. Maybe your mom changed her mind about letting you come. But then she showed up, alone. She said you married that boy who worked at the bank. She said you weren't coming, that you laughed at me for being so silly. I felt like the ground disappeared under me. I left the ring under the swing and went straight to the train station. It took me all these years to believe you didn't end it on purpose.
I was wearing a pretty ivory lace dress. My hair was pinned up just the way you used to like. All the neighbors said I looked like a princess, but I couldn't stop shaking. I cried into my veil because I really thought you left me on purpose, that I wasn't worth waiting for. My mom told me you ran off with some girl from the city, said you didn't leave a note or anything, just disappeared. So I did what everyone said was best. I married a man who followed rules and liked things simple, but that letter, when I read it, everything broke apart. I wasn't left behind. I was erased. You didn't leave. I was made to go missing.
She always knew. The woman I married. From our first night, her eyes told me she wondered about something. She'd ask who I was dreaming about. I could never really answer. Just small bits in my head. A white dress. A field. A name I was too scared to say. She once told me, I only touched her like I was saying sorry to someone else.
So now I'm here, not asking why anymore. I know why. We were remade into something easier for other people. I spent my life in a house where doing your duty meant love, where I took care of people who barely looked up from their food. I became good at getting things done instead of being kind, quiet instead of being a bother, but it all started with that lie. With your letter, taken without a word, that heartache became the reason I followed all the rules. But not anymore. I'm not that woman now. I've been making something slowly, like all the things that matter to me, and from now on, I won't decide how much I'm worth based on what makes others feel better. And here I am in my comfy old lady shoes, ready to be chosen again, but only if it's real.
All these years, I thought you left because you wanted to. I turned my sadness into pride, but I never stopped seeing your face in other people. The nurses who came and went, the way they said nurse, and I'd jump, not from pain, but because a small part of me always hoped one of them would read me some poetry or hold a bunch of dandelions. That ghost from the past just walked back into my life and made me catch my breath before my heart even noticed.
You wrote, if you still love me, meet me where the swing still creaks at sunset. I'll wait until nightfall, and then again in the next life. I read it so many times that the paper almost fell apart along the folds. I held that letter close to my chest the night before I got married. Not because I was unsure about the wedding, but because I hoped you weren't really gone. That maybe the world got it all wrong. And now here you are.
I didn't remember your voice until just now, and I swear, Hilda, I don't ever want to forget it again.
The hallways don't echo like they used to. I don't hear my footsteps anymore, just the sound of the house moving like it's part of me now. I ran into the butler yesterday and he nodded at me. It wasn't just polite, it showed respect. The cook brings me breakfast on a tray with gardenias and doesn't ask if I'll sit with him. She asks if he'll sit with me. There's a new robe in the closet, soft like whipped cream with initials on it I never gave them. I once asked who unpacked my suitcase. She said, I thought it was clear this stuff isn't for guests. Now I walk into the conservatory without knocking. Everyone knows that spot with the violets is mine. People wait outside the library until I leave before they go in, out of good manners. Or maybe, respect. I can tell by the way they stop walking, by the way they lower their voices but look me in the eye. So no, I don't tell them to stop calling me ma'am. I let them say it, Not because I asked to be treated special, but because it happened on its own. I'm not invisible anymore, and I don't need anyone to explain why. I've got a key in my purse now.
I heard from Miriam Weaver. If you want to know, we were eating coffee cake of all things. She looked me right in the eye like I should have already known. She said she saw you walking through the atrium with the staff behind you like swans. She said everyone's calling you the Rose of Hawthorne Hill now, like it's some fairy tale story. You always wanted people to watch you, didn't you? The fancy chair at funerals, the soft, sad act, people giving you sweet words mixed with sorry ones. That's how you learned to soak up pity like perfume. You've always liked being the one people feel sorry for.
Pity doesn't come with towels that have your name on them or pretty glass water pitchers next to your bed. It doesn't fill up the jam just because it sees you coming. I didn't ask for the fancy closet. I just opened it, and there it was. The colors match my skin. Little shades of plum like someone really thought about me. For years I thought having power meant asking, making deals or giving up your pride just to get in. But here, right now, I was simply offered a place. No talk, no trade. Nobody gave me anything in return for what I did. I was just accepted. And it's not because I tied my hair tighter or laid out his paper just right. It's because I sat next to him and he saw me. Maybe really saw me for the first time since I was 19. I didn't beg for it. And that's what real control looks like.
He's 79. He can't feel half his fingers. You really think the kindness you're talking about isn't obvious to the rest of us? You're not tricking anyone. Old men are easy to please, especially when they're hungry for memories. You've always known how to read a room and turn yourself into what people want. That's not grace. That's acting. You can put it in fancy clothes, but it's still a show. And let's be honest, you've always wanted someone else's house to be your own.
You think I wanted the house. That you win when you get the house. But I've lived in quiet rooms my whole life. Things mean nothing if you don't feel like you matter. You see care as some kind of battle, because that's how you've always shown love, by scheduling things, doing favors, staying in control. You collect wins and think they'll keep you warm at night. I never needed to own something to feel like I belonged. In fact, not owning anything is what finally helped me breathe. Because now I'm not in charge of things, I'm just living. And for me, after all these years, that's what real winning looks like. You know what's harder than taking something? Being asked to join and saying yes without feeling bad about it. There's more pride in being welcomed than in breaking down the door.
It's like I'm watching a play you made up overnight. Did you practice all this? The new fancy clothes, the way you lift your chin like you've always belonged here. He's doing this to make himself feel better, and you're letting him. You like the way it all looks. But that's the truth here, right? It's all just a mirror with better lighting. People believe what they want to, especially when it helps them feel less lonely.
You think this all started when someone let me in. It didn't. It started the day I stopped trying to prove I deserved to be here. I would have been happy folding napkins in this place forever and not complained. But he didn't want that. He sent Eve to paint the walls lilac, had someone carve little roses into the trim, just because he remembered they were on the porch when I was a kid. No big deal. No promises, just choices he made. There's a little sign outside my room now, shiny brass. It says HH, not nurse, not guest, not staff. He put it there while I was out shopping. So I came back and saw my name shine. That might not mean much to you, but to me it felt like I had a reason to be here. And still, I didn't ask for anything.
I looked at the guest book, flipped through until I got to the date you moved into the East Wing. There was one name written in green ink, in fancy handwriting, right in the center. Yours. And where mine should have been, nothing. No welcome, no small note, not even a doodle. I wasn't even offered a pen.
You made a whole room full of lawyers wait just so you could say I pretended to care about him just to steal from him. But let them stay. I want you to hear this once. The change to Terrence's will was signed 7 weeks before I ever even went into his bedroom. Before there was anything romantic. Before we even held hands in the garden. Before I ever placed a flower in that silly green vase. He signed it in the study, with all his thinking clear and his lawyer right there. Because he asked me once why I kept bringing those charity flyers to tea, and I told him the truth. I said I'd rather leave a fingerprint on a kid's school bag than on his bank account. I told him I believe the only thing really worth leaving behind is something that helps someone else later on. You think you're digging up some big secret, but all you'll find is someone who just wanted to be seen as more than useful. He signed that will not to shut you up but to respect me. There's no loophole, no way to undo it. You don't get to control what someone gives away with their own free will. And do you know why that bothers you so much? Because you can't sue somebody who doesn't want anything.
You gave up 90% of $120 million just to prove some deep idea. That's not brave. That's throwing your life away and wrapping it in pretty words. You wrecked years of financial safety, threw away your part of the money, and for what? To get one nice line in a funeral speech. This isn't courage. It's you being eaten up by your own sadness. You destroyed your own future. Why?
Because it was never mine to chase in the first place, and going after it would have turned me into the kind of empty person I've fought so hard not to be. I watched you hug the moneyless clothes, not the photo books. I saw how your face went blank when Terrence told stories instead of talking about money. You thought love worked like a stock. You thought you could schedule it between fancy dinners and busy days. I never asked for anything because all I wanted was peace. After the funeral, you left me by myself. Said I couldn't use grief as an excuse forever. You called me a leftover, not a real woman. I stood in that kitchen folding your socks, ones you never bothered to wash yourself. And you know what I learned by standing there? That being together doesn't mean someone sticks around. It means someone truly sees you. And that man, even when he couldn't walk 2 steps on his own, still knew how to hold me with care. I never needed shiny kitchen counters or trust money or your opinion. I just needed someone to see me, someone to be present. All I ever really needed was someone to say my name in a kind way.
Oh my God, listen to yourself. What are you? From the past. Do you even hear how sad that sounds? He gave everything away just because you read him poems and stirred his tea? You call that a legacy? You threw away power and respect just for feelings. And what did you get? A chair with your name on it for a few more months? Mom, you gave away everything that mattered and tried to call it beauty.
No, I asked him to give it all away, because I knew the only way to show it was never about the money, was to make sure there wasn't any left to fight over. I knew you'd care more about missing cash than about how tired I was. You've always needed something to climb up, not something to light your way. And that's fine. I hope whatever you're reaching for brings you something soft and kind, but I'm not going after it anymore. I let go of the very thing you thought made me important, so I could finally be more than just a number or a duty. You took my choice to give things up as weakness. But tell me this, who's calm right now? Who's the one upset? Love only scares people like you when you can't buy it.
No. Don't try to make this sound like beauty. This isn't kindness, it's a punishment. You wanted to cut me out so completely that even heaven would agree with you. This wasn't about being free for you. It was about control. You didn't do this because you saw things clearly. You did this to get back at me for not depending on you.
And with that, you finally told the truth. You never needed me, you just wanted to check if I was useful enough. Count my worth by how quiet I was and how I helped you. But see, I don't need to win anything. That's the big change now. The papers are signed, the lawyers nodded, the safe is empty, and now there's just air in it. I didn't free myself to teach you something. I did it because I was tired of asking permission just to feel like I mattered. The will is right here, signed and sealed, can't be touched. And next to it there's a teapot. There's chamomile tea, or silence. I'm good with either one.
So this is how it ends. You calling yourself the winner by giving up everything? That's the story you'll keep telling yourself tonight, right? That you were strong. That having nothing in your hands means having everything in your heart. Maybe that works for you. But some of us are still here, cleaning up the hard stuff that no one writes poems about. Some of us still have charts and work to do. I can't even touch that will.
You think being quiet means I was weak, but for me, staying quiet helped me survive. I didn't say anything when he grabbed your father's letter and ripped it in half near the coffee pot. He never even asked what was in it. He just saw the handwriting and made the choice for me. You were still little back then. I still had a chance to become the person I wanted to be, but that chance ended the moment he picked up that envelope like it was trash. I watched him crush all the hope I had into his fist and throw it away, right on top of old orange peels and a church flyer. It felt like my whole future got smashed into nothing. When I asked him why he did it, he looked at me like I was crazy. He said I was being over the top, said I was making a fool of myself. I wasn't the woman I thought I was. He made me feel smaller, and when I asked him if love meant anything, he just laughed and told me, grow up, marry someone with income.
You stayed quiet for so many years, and now you want me to understand everything at once? I didn't get love letters. I didn't get flowers or sweet promises near trees. All I got were dinners, because you had to, and eyes that looked right through me. You should have said something. Anything. I spent my whole life thinking you were just tired, just quiet. You and him looked like sadness, pretending to be polite. Do you know how many times I heard things about you from the people at the grocery store or the coffee shop before I ever heard them from you? It was like you were always trying to disappear. Why did I have to learn about who you are from strangers in town?
Because every time I even hinted that I wanted more, you rolled your eyes. I tried to show you something softer and deeper, but all you gave me were to-do lists and complaints. You never asked why I looked away when old music played. You only asked if your dry cleaning was ready. I've felt like a ghost in this house, giving out soup and silence in every hallway. I wasn't scared. I was protecting myself. What you think is me not caring was actually me holding in the whole truth for years just so you wouldn't fall apart. But don't be confused. Your father wasn't the first to hurt me. He was just louder than the others.
So this is who you are now? Fancy chairs, big music shows, and glass teacups. Are you really proud of this new you? The one who wears silk and doesn't look back? You've changed the past and covered it up with piano songs and fancy wine. You say it's like waking up, but to me it just looks like you're running away. You gave up memories for shiny floors.
I didn't give anything up. I made a choice. That matters. You think this ring is for show? 48 years I kept it tucked away in an old sewing tin under the cabinet, waiting to stop feeling stupid for holding on to it. Then one day, I didn't feel stupid anymore. I felt ready. When you say this life is too fancy, it says more about how trapped you feel than how free I am. I never had glass teacups. I had chipped ones, burned dinners, weekends where I could barely breathe because it felt like I barely existed. Now I have blooming lavender and a man who says my name like it's something beautiful. That's not about marble, Harlow. That's peace.
You talk like I should just be happy for you, but I don't. I just feel smaller, like you found a better life, and never asked me to come with you. I waited for years, hoping you'd call me, ask how I was doing, or tell me you needed me. But as soon as someone else saw you and loved you, you disappeared into a soft world that didn't include me. You walked out of the old photo, and I stayed stuck in it. I don't even know who you are now.
I'm the woman who got better without needing everyone to clap. I'm the woman who turned her pain into music instead of asking to be saved. I'm not a saint, and I'm not just your shadow. I made your breakfasts, fixed your clothes, stayed quiet while you walked through birthdays and goodbyes like storms. And when I finally met someone who saw me, not as your mom or as a wife but as just me, I didn't ask you if it was okay for me to feel whole. I don't need anyone's okay to live my life. I don't need a crowd to be happy. And if my happiness feels far away from you, that says more than anything you've said. I belong to myself now.
I just didn't think you'd stop needing me.
I spent 68 years trying to make everyone else feel okay. I folded napkins while your dad was hiding lies behind his smile. I made lunches while hiding my own sadness deep down where I couldn't even find it. I kept hoping someone would choose me. Even when I laughed, I was still waiting. And I would have kept waiting, if it wasn't for the silence. His silence, your silence, mine too. But I found something better than hearing I'm sorry. I found myself in a time of life people say doesn't matter. I opened a door no one thought I could get to, and behind it there wasn't a big house, or fancy jewelry or fairness. Behind it was peace. Not because I won something, but because I stopped needing to win. You called me a burden, but now I get it. Being happy and free scares some people. So I don't need an apology, Harlow. I just need a place where I don't have to make myself smaller. I love you. I really do. But I've learned that pain is not proof of love.
I read the letters. I didn't want to, but I did. He saved them from before I was even born. One of them still smelled like old cologne. I used to think you were just making things up in your head. But really, you were just keeping quiet. So this is how it ends? You choosing to live your life without asking me first.
Sunlight shines through the glass room, while kids laugh in the next room. Hilda holds a warm cup of tea, and Terrence sits beside her, reading quietly. A photo sits between them. No one is left out.